Hello, this is round 5 of Turkish National Championship in Antalya, and my opponent was Batuhan Dastan, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Turkish hope. Not long ago, during Olympiads, he played for second Turkish team and he won Grandmaster norm in that tournament. He beat several very strong players, and he works. He seems to understand many things, and also he's a big fighter. So it looks like he has a really bright future. I didn't want to play main lines of knight today, so I started the game with knight f3. d5, g3, knight f6, bishop g2. I just decided to develop my knight and bishop, castle, and then think what to do. But after c5 I thought maybe it was a good idea to push c4 immediately. Well, I don't know, it's probably possible to start with d4. I thought that Batuhan would play knight c6, for example, something like castle, e6, c4. I saw these positions, something like d takes c4, queen a4. I saw such things, maybe c takes d4, knight e5, but I don't play these lines, so I'm not familiar with exact theory, and I just played c4. I was quite happy to play some Benoni type position with extra tempo, and I expected Batuhan to play e6, and which he did. I took on d5, e takes d5, and then I pushed d4. So now we have normal Tarrasch position. After knight c3, castle, it's possible to play bishop g5 here immediately, but I already played d takes c5 some months ago, and I won the game during Serbian League. So I decided to repeat this line, bishop g5. Well, maybe black has some options, I don't know. Batuhan decided to push d4. I took on f6. Everything is same like my game from Serbian League, queen d8, and here I was trying to remember which move I'm supposed to play, knight e1 or knight d2. I was not completely sure, but somehow it looks like d3 is the correct place for my knight, and I didn't want to move my knight from d5 this knight without being attacked. I thought this knight should stay there, so I played knight e1. And I think my opponent in Serbian League played some strange moves here, a bit slow, and I got really good position. Maybe he played a6, rook c1, bishop a7, something like this. But Batuhan played the most logical normal move, rook e8, and after knight d3 he retreated his bishop to f8, and everything is good. I understood now that my position was probably not better at all. Black's position is perfectly fine, and white should probably try to play some more complex lines and not enter this, because here what do I have? I don't have bishop pair, that's for sure. There is some weakness on d4 maybe one day, but right now I cannot attack this pawn. Knight on c6 is very strong, protecting this pawn, closing c-file, and black wants to play, for example, bishop f5 or bishop g4, then queen d7, rook a d8, then well, okay, he will see what to do, and it's not so easy to play this position for white. I couldn't find some constructive ideas. So after bishop f8 I decided to protect my pawn on e2 in advance. I thought this pawn would need protection in any case. After black goes bishop g4, Well, maybe bishop g4 was interesting idea, maybe it was possible. If I push h3, black can now go to f5, and maybe later win some tempo. Also my castle is a bit weakened, so maybe bishop g4 was interesting, but Batuhan played bishop f5, which is another normal move. Now I understood there was nothing much I could do, I cannot create any threats, so I just played one simple useful move, because I don't have dark square bishop, I need to put my pawns at least to control dark squares. Now I was expecting something like queen d7, and well, I was not sure what I would play next, but I was surprised a bit by Batuhan's move, bishop e4. It's not a bad move actually, it's a normal move because my bishop on g2 is really strong. But somehow I was feeling happy to exchange some pieces, because my dream is to have knight versus dark square bishop, so now I'm maybe one step closer to that position. I understood now that bishops will be exchanged, so I was not in a hurry. I was not sure if to take on e4. Okay, I thought e4 was quite nice square for black rook. Other rook can come to e8, and maybe black can exert some pressure on my pawn on e2. So okay, it was possible to play like this, but I chose knight to f4. It's, I think, similar. Batuhan took on g2, and now I have to take with knight. I thought if I take with the king, I was afraid of g5. Now this move might look a bit strange, but actually, well, to go to h5, it's somehow a bit not feeling correct, but maybe it's also possible. So I was generally thinking to go to h3 now. Black has a very big square on f5, but my knights are not coming to that square anytime soon, so it's not a very big problem for black. And he can maybe check on d5. Now I don't want to play f3, it's creating a weakness on e3. So, and if I move my king to g1, well, black can attack my knight on h3. This position didn't look great, so I decided to take with the knight. I had this move ready when I played knight to f4. And again I was expecting something like queen d7. Black can later double. He might have some ideas to put rook to h6 and queen on h3. Okay, one day maybe. I didn't see what to do. I thought position was equal, because knight on c6 is really extremely strong. Okay, I must mention one idea here. Here I was thinking a bit to take on e4 and then to play knight to b4. This was possible maybe. If black takes with a bishop, then I have square c5 square. So my knight on d3 is good. Still, probably black is able now to exchange this knight on e5. He'll put his knight to e5 at some point, and my pawns are a bit weak, so I don't think I'm going to win this endgame. But okay, it was an option. Maybe if black takes like this, maybe I can hope for something, because knight on d3 can be really strong in similar positions. But okay, I played to f4, and after bishop g2 I took with knight. I was expecting queen d7, but Dastan played queen b6. At first I thought this was maybe not a great move, but then I understood that move was quite okay. He's taking away b3 square, putting some pressure on b2, and now he might want to play just rook a to d8, finish his development. Anytime I push b4 there is a5, so I don't want to push b4 actually. There's nothing much I can do. I mean, the most important thing is to exchange knights, and this I cannot achieve. So I was thinking what to do, and I just played queen to d2. I had some ideas to go knight h4 and knight f3 maybe, but then again I was not really sure about this. But okay, maybe it was possible. I decided to go queen d2, and maybe I can one day play queen g5 and then try to find a better square for this queen, something like f3 or g4 or someplace like that, or it would be perfect to somehow exchange queens. And well, here I was thinking about moves like rook e6, maybe knight a5, rook a d8, rook e4 maybe. Even this move is possible. Black wants to double, and this square looks nice for his rook. But there came a big surprise. Batuhan played knight e5, and I think this move is weak, because after this move I get exactly what I want. I immediately use my chance to exchange knights, and then I put my knight to f4, and already I have better position. Okay, now g6 looks like a normal move. Bishop is maybe coming to g7 to protect the weak pawn. I played first rook a to d1 to attack this pawn. Knight d3 was possible as well. Dastan played bishop g7. Now this pawn is protected. I cannot take queen d4 because he can take the pawn on e2, and when I take on b6 he first exchanges rooks because it comes with check, then he takes on b6, and this position is equal. Of course his bishop on g7 is very strong. He'll play maybe b5, b4, break something, attack some pawns and equalize. So after bishop g7 I just played knight to d3 instead, and my idea was actually to go queen b4 on the next move. And I don't know, maybe Batuhan still he could fight against this. He could play somewhere on the 5th rank with his rook, but he chose move rook e4. Actually the problem was that he was not afraid at all of this endgame, and he was actually looking happy to exchange all the pieces. But I played queen b4. Now it's difficult to avoid queen's exchange, because if he moves the queen he has to protect also the pawn on b7. Then my rook comes to c1 with tempo, and well, I don't know what I can recommend here for black, so probably it's not good. He has now to exchange. Now it was possible to take with knight as well, but I liked somehow taking with a pawn. I took with pawn on b4. Taking with knight has advantage. My pawn structure might be good, but I was thinking that maybe black can sometimes put his bishop to h6, and then it might be a bit difficult to activate my rooks. Although this position is also better for me. I took like this because I understood my rooks would become active, and I would now have two open files, A file and C file, and my position is perfectly safe. Knight on d3 is really extremely strong. Just look at this position. This knight is protecting b2, b4 and f2. So my pawns are safe. Only weak pawn that he can get to is e2, but this pawn can be protected by king. So now I want to activate my rook, and his bishop is passive. So this is really a very nice position. He played here rook to c8, if I'm not wrong. And I first protected the pawn with my king. I thought this was the most useful move. And after rook e6, he's preparing to defend his position. I played rook c1. He doubled the rooks, and I exchanged. He took with the rook, of course. Now I was thinking between two moves. One move was rook a1 that I played, another possibility was b5. After b5, black has to go rook b6, and after rook a1, well, he can again play a6, or he can take on b5, rook a7, and again I have a very pleasant advantage thanks to super strong knight on d3. Try to see how pawn on b2 is super safe. Bishop can never attack this pawn, and I would really say that this knight on d3 must be worth more than 3 pawns in this position. It is just doing some. It is centralized knight protecting many squares and ready to join attack on many occasions. Now Batuhan was defending quite well in the following part of the game. He started with bishop f6. Well, his position is difficult. There is not much here he can do. But I didn't play like this. I got similar position, but I didn't push b5. I played rook a1 in this position. a6 is forced, and now I pushed b5. Black cannot take this pawn because then I check on a8, and after bishop f8, now I can either attack some pawn, for example. Well, I can also here maybe play rook a5 immediately if I want to just take this pawn. Maybe this is one possibility, because black cannot attack with rook on c5, and rook b6 doesn't look much better because I can probably check on 8 rank and then maybe jump somewhere with knight, or just come to d8 and take this pawn on d4. Well, now I see that black can maybe go rook d6 here. So maybe it was possible to play like this for black. Okay, maybe I can jump with my knight to d5 in 2 moves and then take rook b5, then bring my knight back to d3. In any case, okay, maybe it was possible to take, but Batuhan played rook b6, and after I took, he had to take with the pawn, because this endgame looks risky. Maybe he's going to lose this pawn on a6. I was not sure, of course, but he didn't have too much time to check, so he just took with the b pawn. And of course I put my rook to the open file. He played now bishop f6 to make some space for his king, I think. And okay, now I came with my rook to c7. He played king g7. I thought it was useful maybe to push h4. Well, I don't know. I cannot be sure about this, but I thought maybe black can sometimes push g5 himself. Then his rook will have a nice square on h6 maybe. So okay, I thought this move would be not so bad. But Batuhan played h5 to stop maybe h5. I don't know, I mean, he doesn't have to do it immediately, but it's probably a normal move. And now I was not sure how to proceed, because obviously I have advantage, but it's not very easy to win, because black is protecting all his weaknesses, and if my knight goes somewhere, then b2 pawn will be hanging. If my king goes somewhere, black will try to attack pawn on e2. So generally I had two ideas. I could either go with my king to the queen side or come to f3. I decided to first go to the queen side. I was not sure if I would be able to achieve something, but I would just go to c2 or something like this, then maybe come back later if I cannot do anything. I just have so much time because there's nothing black can do, so I was not in a hurry. King e1, and well, Batuhan got worried probably about his queen side, so he started coming with king. I'm not sure how good it was. I played king d2, it is a normal move, and Batuhan played king e8. I actually thought this was good for me. Now I checked on c8, and he covered with bishop. He also had other moves, but okay, maybe this is not bad. He covered with bishop, and now he wants to come maybe to d7 with his king. Well, I'm not really sure what he wants. He's just he has to protect somehow his weaknesses. I played rook a8 to have some more space for my rook. Now I have two squares, a8 and a7, so I'm also attacking his weak pawn. And for example, if he goes king d7, then I can maybe play knight e5 and then maybe take on f7, maybe jump to c4 and come closer with my king to d3. So he played king e7. It looked like a normal move. I understood actually that here one of my ideas is to bring my knight to c4 and king to d3, because I need to somehow take some more space. I need to come closer with my king, and my king cannot leave pawn on e2 because then he will play rook e6. Okay, now I checked on a7. He went back with his king to e8. And now I understood that whenever I jump with knight, he takes b2 with check. So I decided to just move my king to d1. Also, I give him move because for him it's not easy to play, so he might make a mistake. He doesn't have enough time to think. And I think d1 is better place for king in this position. So after this, he played bishop e7. He's just playing some moves, trying not to make his position worse. Now I jumped to knight e5. Okay, I can try some tactical tricks for free. If it doesn't work, I can just go back to d3 safely. Now the thing is, he cannot take on b2 because then I check. He must cover with bishop, and I come knight c6, and then I will win the bishop. So after knight e5, well, he spent almost all his time, and I think he got really low on time, but he managed to find a very interesting move here. He was about to touch his bishop, and I was thinking, what is he doing? Where is he going to play? And then I understood that bishop d6 is really a good move, but only after he played. Idea is, I cannot take on f7 because of bishop b8, and suddenly I lose the knight, and black even wins. So after bishop d6, what to do? I have to go back with my knight either to d3 or c4. I chose c4 because, okay, it was anyway one of my ideas. I want to come closer with my king. Black has to go rook c6. I checked a bit knight a5 now, but nothing much happens. Black just goes back to b6, and I didn't see anything special here. So I decided to push my pawn and protect the knight. Well, this is not something I want to do. I like my pawn on b2 and knight on d3, but I must try to go forward, and he's defending well, so I didn't have other options how to proceed, and I had to push this pawn. He played the bishop c7, trying to limit activity of my rook. Okay, now I have normal moves. I must first come closer with my king and then see what to do. He played his king to d8. He wants to come to c8, and then my rook is maybe going to be trapped, so I have to check. And he played king d7. I just played king d3, which is a very normal move. And okay, I thought now it was a bit difficult to play with black, and I was hoping that maybe Batuhan would make some mistake here. But he didn't. He played a good move. He played rook to e6. Now if I take the pawn on d4, he can take pawn on e2, and the position is not clear. And I was thinking and thinking, and I couldn't understand what exactly to do here. And then I got the idea to push f4. Generally I don't like pushing pawns, I like to keep them where they are. I don't want to make weaknesses, but in this moment it looked good. It looked like it was finally time for this, and it looked like black would have problems to find a move. I don't have some special threat now, but I simply didn't see what black would play. And he found a good move. He played a5. Now I cannot take this pawn, because black can check on e3, and after I take, black will take the pawn on g3, then also my pawns on h4 and f4 are weak, and the position is not that great anymore. So after he pushed a5, the move I missed, I couldn't find something special, and I decided to try rook a7. He just played his king back to c8. I checked one more time. He returned to d7. And then I understood that maybe it would not be easy for him to find a move if it would be his move, so I just played one move on 8 rank. Maybe sometimes I can think about f5, so this move can have some logic. He played king to e7. I attacked his bishop. He returned to d7, and I just played rook a8. So I just gave him the move, and now, because he doesn't have so many moves to make, he should not push his f-pawn, because then my rook will come to g8 and g7, for example, and it will be difficult for him. He cannot move his rook along 6th rank, because the rook needs to attack pawn on e2. So he might go rook e7, but it doesn't look so nice. And he cannot move his king to c6, because then I can attack his pawn on f7, and he doesn't have king e7 to protect. So somehow it's not very easy to play for him, and he chose the move king e7 that I was expecting. So now I gained something. I can play rook a7, and he must protect the bishop with king d8. Now compared to the position, actually he played king d7 here. Well, I don't know, maybe there is much difference, maybe not. Compared to the position from a moment ago, his king was on c8 here, and somehow it was much better for him. But now I thought that maybe it was time to grab the pawn on d4. I didn't see anything else, and I decided to do this. Take the pawn on d4, after rook takes e2, to play king d5. Now I don't have this superb structure anymore, and I lost my advantages. He doesn't have a weak pawn, he doesn't have to fight with super strong knight. I have weaknesses now in my camp, so I gave these things up in order to have active king and some possibilities to attack with knight b6 and knight e5 moves. I was really low on time here. When I played king d5, I only had 2 minutes left, and I was really not sure what to expect. I was not actually, to be honest, I was not very happy how the things were happening. I thought I spoiled at least some part of my advantage. And Batuhan played here rook g2. Luckily for me, he also had very little time. Now I was thinking between knight b6 and knight e5. I should make some progress somehow, and I was only considering these 2 moves. I saw if I go knight b6, he will go king d8. I can check on a8, and he goes king e7, and I didn't see how to proceed. I considered here move knight a8. It looks strange, but it's attacking his bishop, and his bishop doesn't have so many squares. But he can go rook d2, and somehow here I stopped. I don't really know why, because still it doesn't look so safe for black. I thought it was weird to go with knight to the corner, and I stopped. But maybe it was good. We will check later. So I decided to play knight e5 and go to rook endgame. I saw this rook endgame, and it didn't look so great. It looked like it would probably be a draw. But I got under 1 minute and I had to do something. After king c8 I played king c6. Now black cannot check on c2 because of knight c4. Now my position is completely winning. So he has to take the knight. Unfortunately I cannot play rook a8 because bishop b8. So I take on e5. And now there is a checkmate threat. Black's rook on g2 is very good. He's not going to, definitely not going to check and let my king come to d6 and e7, and this would win easily. He has to play king d8, which he did. And wow, I can take pawn on f7. If I take, he will take on g3. It must be easy draw. He will also take the pawn on b3, and then one pawn on e file is easy to stop, I thought. So I decided to take other pawn, and after rook g3 to push b4. This is my last chance. I want to push this pawn and to get a new queen. Maybe black can use this time to collect my pawns, then give rook for this b pawn. Well, I was not sure about this, there was not enough time to think. But I decided to try my chances. Now Batuhan played king e7. Well, I'm not sure about this move, we will have to analyze it. He wanted to escape with his king to e6 and then give some check from c3 and make my king go to the b file, and at the same time his king is getting closer to my pawns, so one day when finally he gives the rook, this might win the game for him. Even if he starts pushing three connected passed pawns, my king can be very far. I even lost one game like this many years ago, so now I'm more careful about such things. I pushed b5, and now okay, my pawn is going to be really dangerous if I manage to play b6. And I will also be able to cover with my rook, to put my rook to c5 or b5, so black probably has to check on c3. And now I had a dilemma. Should I go to b7 or to d5? Both moves look good. I can go to b7 and then I will push b6. Soon I will probably win the rook, but I was afraid that I would lose too many pawns and that maybe this rook is not going to win the game. I didn't calculate too much. Only after the game I saw that he has maybe moved rook c5, but I don't know if this move is so great, but he has also this option. But my main concern was that he would just attack my pawns and take them, something like this. King, I don't know, a6 maybe. I'm not sure what happens from here. It looks very, very dangerous for him, but it can also become dangerous for me. So I prefer to stay with my king in the center. I saw that he will probably have to check on d3 if he doesn't want me to play rook a7 and make his king go to 8th rank. This will create new problems for him. For example, if he goes rook b3, I can check on a7, then he should probably protect his pawn on f7. Then I can go king c4 even. I'm not sure, maybe even some more active move. Maybe I can play to c6. Well, I don't know, I would have to think about these things, but it's for sure nice to make his king go back to 8th rank. So after I played king d5, Batuhan checked from d3. And now I decided I wouldn't go to b7, so I played king c4. Now I'm taking b3 under control, so now I want to push b6 and have a new queen. And the position is really tricky, I'm not sure if black can draw or not. We both had very little time, so he played rook h3, attacked my pawn on h4, and I just decided to push b6. Now if he takes pawn on h4, I can just play king c5 and it looks like his position is lost. I want to play b7, this rook cannot catch the pawn, so he must try to come with king. Then I can at least play rook a7, maybe just take on f7, and with these two passed pawns I don't believe that he has chances to hold. So he didn't take the pawn on h4, he played king d7 immediately. And at first I thought that maybe it was enough for a draw, because his king is going to stop my b pawn and his rook will eliminate my h4 pawn, and well, with only e pawn left, of course there's nothing I can do. But I saw one more chance, rook c5. I don't let his king come and stop my pawn. So I played it. We had very little time and I decided this was my best chance, and I just played the only move that I had. Probably now I want to play rook c7 and again take his pawn on f7. So he must at least eliminate my pawn, it was obvious. My king came to d5, now rook c7 is coming in the next move, and probably I thought he would play rook b4, which he did. Then I just played rook c7 check. He cannot go to e8 because of b7, and the next move is rook c8 and I will have a queen. So he has to go to d8. And now I have this move, king c5. I want to see where his rook will go. If his rook goes somewhere on the b file, I can just, my king protected the pawn on b6 and I can just take pawn on f7, and it's not possible for him to deal with two pawns. Because my rook will be very good on h7, it will completely stop his pawns and then my two pawns will easily win the game. So where else to go? He could try coming to e4, but then I can take the pawn on f7. Luckily he cannot take on e5 because I can go king d6 and there is a checkmate. If he plays rook b5, I just go rook f8 and it's a checkmate. So he cannot do this either, and he made the only move that was left, and this is rook f4. And for a moment I was thinking that this was just a draw, because I didn't see at first how to proceed. I can try to come with my king to c6, but after rook c4 I just have to go to b7, which is an awful square. I'm stopping my own pawn, and I didn't like this. I was always afraid that maybe I would even lose the game when he gets some connected passed pawns. So I couldn't find a win at first. If I go something like rook a7, he can play king c8, and here I believe he is safe. So this can also be a small exercise for you. There is one move that wins the game immediately. Can you find this move? It is actually rather simple. The move is rook c6. I wanted to play b7. If black goes, for example, rook f1, which he did because he cannot stop b7, and just b7 and rook c8. Rook f1, I still push b7. If rook b1, I will play rook c8, and this position is of course completely winning. My king is very near, and I still have pawn on e5. So Batuhan decided to check my king, but unfortunately for him, he cannot take the rook because this position is lost. So he checked a few more times, and in this position he resigned. Okay, now let's see the game from the beginning and ask also within for opinion. I will start from this position because this was theory, and well, okay, Houdini suggests knight f4, but in any case no great advantage for white. Knight e1, a6 is the move maybe that was played to me before, but rook e8 looks much better. Knight d3 and just bishop f8. Black's position seems good to me. I don't think white has any advantage. I played rook e1, it looks normal. Bishop f5 is normal. a3 almost a waiting move, but okay, at least I'm improving my position a bit. And bishop e4, well, computer says it's normal. I don't like this move so much because maybe it helps me only a little. This was also possible, but okay, this is possible as well. Black takes on g2, I take with the knight, nothing too interesting. And then he plays queen b6. I played queen d2, still nothing so interesting. And now knight e5, which is probably at least a small mistake. But computer says the position is equal. Rook e5, knight f4, let's see, why is it equal? g6, computer said it's completely equal. I was really happy at this stage. Rook a d1, I like this move as well. Bishop g7, knight d3, rook e4, queen b4. Computer still thinks that the position is equal, but now I think white's advantage is already serious. In this position it's really not easy to play with black, and both moves are possible. Computer thinks after knight b4 that black is even better, but this is really ridiculous. It's not possible. There's nothing black can do. White can just put his knight on d3 and not do anything. Okay, this move a takes b4 also possible. Now rook c8 is normal, king f1 normal, rook e6, rook c1, rook c1, not rook c1, rook ec6, rook takes, and now computer says b5 was a bit better. Why? After rook a1, a6, b5, computer doesn't like this and thinks black must take on b5. Yes, maybe I saw something here that doesn't exist. Somehow I thought I would be at least able to at least win back this pawn. But Houdini doesn't think it's so simple. Rook a5. He wants to protect this pawn with rook b6. And after rook a8, bishop f8, rook d8. Actually, the move I didn't see is rook d6. This move I missed, and because of this move, it looks like black doesn't have some serious problems here. Of course, I can always take, even in this position with one less pawn, white is absolutely safe. Probably black is safe as well. I can just play b3 and simply wait. I can play f3 and put my king to g2. There is nothing black can do. But of course, in this position I have better tries still. Maybe knight b4, knight f4. Knight b4 is better. And now next move is going to be knight d5. For example, bishop f8, knight d5. Rook c6, rook b5, but I must agree that maybe black has some small activity here. I'm not sure if this is something special, but maybe he has some small chances here to activate his pieces, but probably not. I think my knight will be back very soon to d3 square, and again I will have this similar pressure like in the game. So nothing will be too different, I guess. Rook b6, b takes a6, pawn takes, rook c1 is normal, and bishop f6, one of the normal moves. Nothing too interesting still. h4 is okay. h5, king e1, king f8, king e2, king e8. I noticed that Houdini likes to push this pawn to b4. I'm not sure. I prefer to keep it on b2, try to do something. If it doesn't work, well, maybe I can push it to b4 then. Okay, rook c8 was my move. My idea was not to let his king go back to g7. I don't know if it is something special. Bishop d8, rook a8. Already a nice advantage even according to the machine. King e7, rook a7, king e8. What is machine saying here instead of rook a7? b4 was a very nice move according to Houdini. What is my idea? Why is this move so good? Well, I stop him from playing king d7. It is actually some kind of Zugzwang, probably. Or maybe not. Now I saw some lines like this. Now if he goes king b7, I can maybe win some pawn. Computer says knight c5, and then I just take knight a6, and probably this is possible. I was thinking about some things here. If it would be black's move, even in this position, he could play king d7 instead of king e7, and then I can try to take this pawn, and after he takes check, but it seems that he can attack my knight with his king and that he's going fine, and computer agrees with this. It was just some idea, but after king e7, computer likes So after king e7, computer likes b4, and he wants to secure this c5 square for my knight for future. Well, I don't know. Possible I wanted still to try to play without pushing this pawn, and then maybe I will push it later if I don't manage to win. Check, king goes to e8, and I played king d1. I was actually here thinking that black might try to go rook c6. I don't know why I was thinking about this move. For some reason I was calculating some lines like this while it was his move. Or was it maybe not in this position? Bishop b6. No, it was not in this position. It was some similar position. So here probably it's not great to play rook c6 because of rook f7. And Batuhan played bishop to e7, knight e5, bishop d6, knight c4, good, and b3 is normal move, bishop c7, king d2 must be normal, it's very easy, king d8 and king d3 is not good because after king c8 I must really think seriously about my rook. So of course I check on a8 first. Black goes to d7, and of course I come closer with my king. These moves are all easy to make. Rook e6. And this part of job I did correctly. But here I got low on time and somehow I didn't use all my chances. So first thing that Houdini likes every time is to push this pawn. And I can probably understand now that this was not bad. Black doesn't have too many moves. There are no means to attack this pawn, so it makes sense to take some dark squares and to make this pawn be closer to 8 rank as well. I played f4 and I was thinking that maybe it would be some Zugzwang, but Batuhan found the only move. He played it really quickly. a5. There is a change in position, big change, and move a5 was totally impossible before because I would simply take this pawn, but now this move is possible and he made it very quickly and with ease, really. Okay, so now I tried to play like this, but nothing much happened, so I repeated the position, and then I played rook h8, which might be the best idea in the position, to just lose a tempo. King e7, he played normal move, rook c8, king d7, and rook a8. So this maneuver was good, and he has nothing better but to play king e7. And I should play rook a7. He can play king d7 or king d8, okay, not too much difference. And let's see, now king d4 was terrible move according to the machine, leading to a draw, and position was otherwise much better for me. And the move that machine suggests is knight takes a5. Now this move looks logical to me, and I don't know why I didn't play this move. Because I just let black take immediately on e2, like this, I can win a tempo, and this tempo I can use to take the pawn. So some small difference is that now he might choose to take pawn on g3, but this is not very important because my attack is strong. I can also play e3 and protect all my pawns. h4, I'm not sure he will have time for h4 pawn. I can also push b pawn or jump somewhere with my knight. Position is obviously very dangerous for him. And if he takes on e2, then I'm a pawn up. I should play knight c4, cover d2 and other important squares. And it looks like he doesn't have time to play rook g2 again because of knight e3. Very nice move, and knight goes to d5. So here I missed a chance to get maybe winning position. It's very close to winning position. I had to take the pawn on a5, and I made a very big mistake. Let's see how much time I had. Move 53. Well, I only had 4 minutes, so it's not too much time, but still, this mistake is really huge. And after king d4, black takes on e2, and he's really close to a draw. King d5, and now he played rook g2, but king c8 was much better. And computer claims that position is very close to a draw, and probably computer is right. King c6 is nothing because he has a check, and if I go rook a8, black can go back to d7, and I cannot attack any pawn. If rook f8, he just goes king d7, and position is probably equal. If he finds king c8 here, probably it's equal. Okay, let's see his move. Rook g2. Now computer says knight b6 was better than my move again. King d8 and knight a8. Well, I'm not sure, somehow I don't believe in this going to a8 with knight, but let's see. Machine's intention. Bishop d6. Machine's intention is simply to pick up the pawn on f7, and knight will come back later. Now g6 is also weak, so it makes sense. I didn't calculate this correctly, and I checked on e5. And now again king d8. Well, maybe not. King c8 also good. King c6 is only chance. I'm sure bishop e5 is the only move. So is f takes e5. King d8, of course, is normal. And I must try to take this pawn. Black should take on g3. And I push b4. And now king e7 maybe was not the correct move. Machine says rook c3 was correct. Well, during the game I saw rook c5 and I was not sure what was going on here. I saw two ways to play. Here I was a little bit worried, I must say, but probably without reason, because I can take with b pawn, and now I have king b7 threat, and my pawn is really fast going with check. So black would have to try to stop my pawn like this, and then my king can go to d6, and black cannot even push g5, because after I take in h4 I will play e6 when he takes g6 and I win. So after rook c5 black cannot exchange rooks, and if he plays something else I just push my big pawn, and it doesn't look like a safe draw or something. It looks like a difficult position for black. He might be able to save, but it's not easy. So okay, maybe this endgame is not completely easy for black. So after b4, Batuhan played king e7. b5 is good. Rook c3 only move according to the machine. And now king d5 or king b7. Machine not sure either. But I know that machine has this tendency to underestimate disconnected passed pawns versus rook. So if machine is saying that this is not so clear, then I guess king b7 is not that great. Let's check a bit. Let's just play once through these lines and then see what happens. Rook c4, I agree. b6, rook takes h4. What is white going to do? Let's play always first lines of program. Rook b4. b7. Exchange. And king e6. Wow, very interesting position. Black gave up his rook and now he's going to push the pawns. Is it going to be enough for a draw? Let's see. King c6. What does black push? h4 looks most logical. And now Houdini calculated until the end. It looks like that. It is possible that this position is a draw. My king somehow cannot get closer. Okay, I'm still of course not completely sure. Machines can make mistakes sometimes. So I will think now that my move was correct. King d5. Rook d3 is okay. King c4 is okay. Rook h3 is normal. b6, okay, I don't want to repeat the position, so I have to try this. King d7 is the only move. And now rook c5. Let's see why this is a draw. Computer says this is a draw. Okay, now evaluation changed a bit. So maybe even this position is winning, and in this case my play in rook endgame was really good. But let's see if something will change. Rook f4, the only move in this position. Very, very difficult to move. He's not attacking pawn on b7 that looks so threatening, but he's protecting in advance his pawn on f7. This is advanced thing, and we both had so little time, and I think it was almost impossible to play like this. But even now, let's see if Houdini will find a win for white. King c6. Rook c4 on the move. King b7. Rook back. To protect or not? Black has two moves now. Let's check both of them. Rook e4. This smells like a draw. Rook f7. Rook takes c5, of course. Must be a draw. Rook f6. I will just check along the main line. Of course, this is not a very serious analysis. Not easy to analyze at all, even for Houdini. This position is difficult. King c6, let's say. King e7, the only move. Rook h6. Rook e1. And black is probably going to sacrifice his rook, and this is going to be enough for a draw. Now I'm pretty sure. b7, check. King b6, rook b1. King c7. Even h4 is possible here, yes. Black doesn't have to give his rook so early. And after check, black goes back, and okay, it's a draw, I agree. So maybe it was possible. Still there are many options for white, and maybe it was possible. Batuhan was defending really well in this endgame, but even rook endgame was difficult, and it's not clear if he had draw at all, and for sure he didn't have an easy draw. So after he played rook b4 here, let's just make sure that everything was okay. King d8, king c5, and the position is most probably winning now. Yes. Computer says rook b1 was only chance. And after rook takes f7, maybe some checks. But okay, position with two passed pawns must be winning. I agree with this. And okay, after check and king c5, let's check the move. Rook f4, king c5, rook f4, and rook c6 is the only winning move. Maybe king c6, but rook c6 wins immediately. It was very important to find this move. And after rook f1, just b7. Okay. Now when I think about this game, what can I say? Opening was nothing special. I got some equal position. Okay, there was some disbalance maybe, so it was possible to play this position for a win. But I think Batuhan helped me. Probably, I don't know what was the reason why he was changing pieces in position. I'm sure, absolutely sure that he understands that in this position he shouldn't exchange pieces. Still, he was exchanging pieces, and he got, without any fight, he got this endgame that is really difficult for him. And then he was defending well. I missed my chance in this endgame when I took the pawn too early. I had to take knight a5 first and play position with extra pawn. Instead I played king d4, then Batuhan took pawn on e2, and then he missed chance to make draw immediately, almost immediately, with a very nice move, king c8, not attacking pawn on g3, but king c8. It would secure him a draw. Instead he made a mistake, and then we got this rook endgame that was very difficult for black. He played several good moves, some only moves, but in one moment, because of time trouble, he made a mistake, and I also had little time, but I used my chances. I found the best moves, the moves that create most problems for black, and finally Batuhan made a mistake and I won this game.